Hello everyone, this is Abdus Shah from Spire Podcast. Welcome to another episode. Today we have Bernard with us. We will be talking about latest PPC practices, Amazon advertising practices. What are the best practices considering your profitability, uh, your like a lot of things we experienced. There are a lot of new fees and the increasing fees from Amazon year or year. So let's welcome Bernard. Welcome Bernard to the show. Thank you so much for joining.
Oh, thanks, Abdus, for sure. My pleasure. Anytime I can talk about PPC, I'm happy. So yeah, glad I could help.
That's great. Yeah, it looks like it's your most interesting topic. I see your LinkedIn and it's all about PPC.
Yeah, I try to be as vocal as possible about PPC on LinkedIn and Facebook as well. So yeah, I'm always like tweaking things. I'm always testing different things to see what's working or not. Right. So that's what it's about.
That's great.
Test things.
That's great. That's great. First of all, I'm looking this way because I'm using two monitors. So my camera is here, and I'm here looking here. So
No worries.
don't be ignored.
No worries.
So Bernard, please tell about something related new PPC updates and what are the new updates and practices which are happening in the market.
Oh, that's a very broad question. There's so many things going on. There's a lot of so what we've seen. Well, let me tell you a little bit about what we do at PPC Maestro.
Please.
I've been in the business for the past 7 years now. We've been managing accounts, so we do we manage quite a bit of ad spend. We managed $1.5 million in ad spend last year.
Okay.
So we're on par to do about a little bit more this year, like 2 million or so. So what I've seen is Amazon is pushing a lot. They're incentivizing people to spend money, right? Which is not necessarily what sellers want to do, right? Yeah, they want to spend money, but you want to make sure whatever you're spending on the right types of strategies for your account, right? So from where we stand, having managed dozens and dozens of accounts, is sponsored products, right? There's no proof or the data that shows that it's only really sponsored products that really drives ranking, right? So for the most part, you gotta dedicate the most ad spend towards sponsored products. Now, having said that, what's working now, we've seen there's a lot of accounts are doing better with product targeting versus like keyword targeting, right? So I would advise whoever is listening to make sure that they are spending on testing new targets in terms of product targeting, right? Now, in terms of like keywords, I would say broadly speaking, it's hard to tell which one's gonna work for your account. So I would say you got to test all three match types and figure out which one works best for your account. And once you do know what match type works best for your account, then you could, I guess, move more ad spend towards that match type. That makes sense to you?
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much for explaining. And yeah, I just throw a very broad question. So I will further ask some question which will get us to more narrower space.
Sure.
So yeah, so you mentioned that previous year you managed like 1.5 million in ad spend, and this year it will hit around 2 million.
Mm-hmm.
So you must also managing some small account. No brand account is small. It's just like the ad spend comparing to other the revenue which we compare to others. So for example, if one is earning $500,000 year, and second one is earning $2 million, so we say that okay, 501 is small. So in that case, I'm just like explaining.
Yeah, no,
So
that's a good question. No, so we're very picky on who we select. So typically, I would say the break off point of who we work with is like mid six figure, nothing lower than that. The reason
Mm.
being, as you know, I'm sure that the newer or the smaller the brands is, the less they can test products, right? The newer they are, it's more like I don't know. There's a lot of push in the industry where a lot of people coming in, like really low price point products. That stuff doesn't work anymore. We haven't seen any success in those. So we tend to favor, like, I would say, low seven figure to mid eight figure businesses. Those are the ones doing best right now because the platform is favoring bigger brands. Um, that's why
Mm.
they put like brand registry. That's why
It's a
they make
reality.
it
Yeah.
tough for new sellers for sure. It's tough. It's tough. Right. It
Yeah.
doesn't
Although
mean
they have a lot of programs for new sellers,
Yeah, it
but
doesn't
still,
mean that new
yeah.
sellers cannot succeed, right? But it means that you gotta have the right skill sets, right? You gotta know a lot of different things that you didn't have to know back then. Like 5 years ago, it was a lot easier, right? Now you have to be really good at selecting the product. You have to be good at SEO. You have to be good at PPC. You have to be good at a lot of different things now to succeed on the platform. And what we've seen is that you know most likely you're not most people don't succeed in their first two or three launches. They don't. It's not unusual, but someone might succeed the first couple of launches, but typically they don't, right? That's the truth. So
Mm.
um, there is a financial investment and of course a learning investment involved in doing well on Amazon, right? So and
Exactly.
then PPC is not a blue pill you take and everything works, right? It doesn't work that way. If the product is not good, the market doesn't want it, it's not going to work. Whatever you do with PPC is just going to work. So, like, to answer your
Mm.
question, the sweet spot for us is like high six figure to like mid eight figure sellers, pretty much. That's the sweet spot in
Mm.
terms of who we like working with, right? Um,
Great. Great. Yeah. So my question was that, like, if there is a small seller or small brand who is like doing under $300,000 or more lesser, and if they are watching this podcast, what approach do you recommend regarding PPC management? And is there any difference in approaches towards big accounts, big brands, and small accounts?
oh, for sure. Good question. There is a big difference. So, the biggest account we
Mm.
have has they're always launching products. So that the key to success, long-term success, you got to launch new products. You got to test new products. You got to test and test and test until you find a winner, keep it, and then use that money, retest and retest. That's the way it works, right? So I would say for the bigger accounts, we have an account that has like I think it has over 70,000 SKUs. That's a huge account, right? it,
Mm.
it does
Yeah.
like wholesale and private label. For those accounts, the approach is different, right? So I'm not going to mention that. It's kind of a different way of doing PPC completely, right? Because, the investment required for a launch on an account that big is way higher than your typical account, right? But for the smaller accounts, I think what's vital is like you gotta do the proper keyword research. You gotta come up with a group of keywords that really, really are highly relevant, and then you focus on those initially, right? That's the key, I believe, right? For sure, you gotta have a good product, obviously, right? You gotta have a good product that you differentiate, right? But the keyword selection has to be like very, very well done for you to succeed, right? And once you do have, let's say you come up with like, I would say between 50 keywords that you really target, right? No more than 50, I would say. So once you have those 50 targets and the competitors, like I mentioned before, a lot of accounts are doing well with product targeting, right? So you want to have a good set of very relevant, highly relevant keywords that you target and competitors that you manually research, and then you have a competitive advantage over, right? Meaning you have a better product, better listing would be great. You offer something that's definitely not on their listing, right? And then you're good at PPC. If you have those three or four things dialed in, you do fine. Okay. And then PPC is just fuel to the flame. It's going to just add it's just gonna work best if you start with that in mind, right? So in terms of like PPC for launch, again, like I mentioned, sponsored products. You got to focus on that sponsored products because you want to get ranking. You're gonna get you're not looking for profitability at the beginning for sure, right? But if you have the right keywords, your chances of success are highly probable. Versus if you don't do your keyword research, you're very unlikely you're gonna succeed, right? So the key there is like SEO has to be priority number one, right? And then the PPC, since you already have the keywords and you know what to bid on, then it becomes a lot easier. Then you gotta go into like budgeting. How much are you willing to spend on a launch, right? That's very important as well. You can't go in a market where you gotta gauge the competition, right? If people are selling like 100 units a day, and you come in there with like the budget, you don't have the budget to launch on a market like this, you're not gonna succeed because it's a pay to play platform at this point. You have to be strategic with your keywords and strategic with your budget right from the go. You cannot just like blindly launch campaigns. You got to be strategic. So that would be my advice.
That's great. Yeah, and it's great. So regarding launch phase, uh, what approach do you recommend, like for the first 2 or 3 months? Like, let's say we break down the launch. First, I'm also asking about the names of the launch stages. So, for example, for the first 2 months, we call this name, and for the next 2 months, and
Yeah.
when we are going to the scaling phase. And secondly, for each phase, what approach do you recommend?
Right. So, like I said, if you have like a niche, so the key to a successful launch is picking the right niche, right? You have a right niche, you come up with the right keyword for that niche, then you know what you're selling, right? So now, if you have that in mind, if you have the key, I would suggest like the stage one, like you mentioned, stage one is all about ranking. You want to rank as quickly as possible. So the way you do that is sales velocity. You got to sell, and you got to have good conversion rate, right? So basically, that's all that really matters. So month number one, I would focus on that. So you want to make sure that your budget is allocated towards, I would say, phrase matches, not phrase, exact match campaigns for sponsored product. You could use phrase, but I would highly suggest you do like exact match because those are the ones that really push ranking the most, right? And then you do, yeah, I would say phrase and exact. You could do both, but yeah, if you limit it on budget, I would go strictly exact, right? So you would have exact match campaigns, you would have sponsored products for sure, and you gotta use the auto campaign. I like launching with auto campaigns, right? A lot of people don't like that, but depends on the category, right? If you're launching on in supplements, I would not recommend auto campaigns. It's too broad, right? But if you're launching in anything, if you have like a really niche product, I think, and the listing has to be well done, by the way, for auto campaigns to work. Otherwise, the algorithm is not going to understand what you're selling, right? But if you do
Yeah.
have a good listing, a good research behind what market you want to approach, I think, yeah, I would launch with an auto campaign, but only in the close and substitute match types. I won't launch the other two. The loose one is and the complement
Yeah.
stuff is very broad. I won't launch with those two. So basically, you could very narrow your launch with 4 or 5 campaigns, right? Types of campaigns, depending on how many keywords you find, depending on you know it could vary, but mainly you need like 4 types. I would say exact match, you would need phrase match, you would need ASIN targeting, and branded keywords is a big one. So you want to start off by bidding on branded keywords, right? If you protect, you send out, you're launching with your brand name, you want to start out with that, making sure you set up like brand awareness right away, right? So that's what I would focus on the first month or so. And then after that, you could like elaborate. Stage two, you could go broader. Like you could use like a broad match campaign, and you could go like with category targeting, and you can sponsor brands video exact match campaigns, stuff like that, right? That'll be stage two. And then stage three, then you bring in everything else that you could test. You could do sponsored brands, you could do sponsored brand video. Um, And sponsored display, as a matter of fact, they don't do that well. Tell the truth, they don't perform that well. I'm sure it depends on the category, but for the most part, they don't do that much. They don't do that well. You don't see top level growth with sponsored display campaigns. So if you focus on sponsored products and then sponsored brands, then you have a good chance of success right there.
Great. Yeah. So for this discussion, I have some more questions. Number one is that like, why do you offer, recommend, and prefer auto campaigns? For example, as you already mentioned, that some people don't like it, and their objection may be, which I understand, that like with auto campaigns, it may disturb your relevancy of your product. Like it may get any sort of keyword into your campaign, and it may create an irrelevant a niche to your product.
Yep.
So why do you prefer auto campaigns?
So that's the thing. When you do use those broader match campaigns on a launch, you got to monitor what's coming in. So you basically want to shut off everything that's not converting well. That's gonna hurt your ranking for sure if it's not converting well. So if you launch the auto campaign or broad campaign for that matter, right? Initially, you want to make sure you look at the data every couple of days, depending on how much traffic you get. But you got to look at the data constantly to make sure you eliminate poor performing. And by poor performing, I'm not talking about ACoS here. Mainly, I'm focusing on conversion rate initially, because that's what gives you organic ranking, right? You got to sell, you got to convert, right? So keep that in mind. And you basically got to either pause or negate the stuff that are not converting, right? Because you cannot afford the poor conversion rate initially, because it's going to hurt the product itself. So yeah, these things are stuff you got to monitor, right? Initially, you don't really lower bids or any. I won't do that unless it's like increasing the bid. If something is working well, you want to make sure you give it more budget so that it could perform better. But at the same time, if it's not performing, you want to make sure you pause it, because it's hurting not only the campaign but the product itself, right? The listing itself gets hurt. As you know, the way Amazon gives organic ranking is heavily weighted on conversion rate, right, and sales velocity. So once you have these two in mind, then yeah, you would adjust things accordingly, right? So yeah, I would be very cautious on poor converting keywords for sure. You gotta pause them. I would pause them.
Mhm. So you recommend that instead of totally avoiding the auto campaign, we can even use it as a leverage towards indexing and toward building relevancy, because you will have strictly supervision on those campaigns, and you will monitor it strictly and will avoid such keywords, so that Amazon knows that okay, these are not relevant keywords. So
yes,
that's perfect.
sure.
Yeah, I
The
think
relevancy is extremely important at the beginning. It's always important, but even more so at the beginning.
yeah,
Because if you're converting,
yeah.
because the thing is, you have to keep in mind that once you're launching, you don't have any reviews initially, right? So you gotta wait for once reviews come in, then you get you're expecting to convert higher, right? So it is expected. So you could give it a little bit more, I guess, more time when you do have reviews. But when you don't, you have to be careful, right? So you have to make sure that whatever is working, you keep pushing, and what's not working, you got to pause initially. You could go back and test them later on when you get good reviews. That's okay, right? Because you don't know, maybe they perform better when you do have reviews, but initially you have to be wary of that. So yeah,
Exactly. And yeah, algorithm is also trying to not understand because it's algorithm, so it don't have a human capacity, but they're also trying to understand in their own language that okay, what's this product is, and is it relevant to that specific category where you listed it. So yeah, that's great. Yeah.
yes,
So my second question is that in the first month you mentioned that you have to focus on the ranking and you have to push it high. So do you mean ranking in the top tens on each keyword, or because with this approach, I noticed that like initially if we push it through PPC, and we may also get rank against certain keywords, but as soon as we decrease the ad spend or we change the preference of the campaign, then our rank get dropped. So what do you say about this?
So you're saying you're pushing PPC and then you're losing ranking on what? I didn't catch the last part of it.
Yeah, let me rephrase. So you say that in first month you have to focus on ranking.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, we are spending a good amount of budget on a specific keyword so that we get rank against that keyword organically or through PPC.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, we get the top 10 spot, any spot in the top 10 in organic spots. But the soon we decrease the ad spend or we change the preference of the campaign, it gets deranked. So, like, what do you think about this approach? Is it right approach to first to like aggressively push the rank? What do you say?
So
I
it gets tricky like that, right? So the key here is that you got to track it. You cannot know if something is working unless you track it. We track it using data dive. That's how we track it. We use rank radar. We track it. We have the list of keywords. We put it on there so we see it in terms of not only organic ranking but also in ad placement, impression share, right? So you have both of those. You got to track, right? So now, if what I'm understanding correctly is that you're losing ranking when you lower ad spend, right? So what happens is
exactly.
that you don't gain enough organic ranking when that happens. That's probably what it is, right? So it
Yeah,
means that if there could be different scenarios here, it could be like the actual keyword itself is not converting because of SEO issues, right? You could have an issue where you think you're gonna rank for something, but you don't, right? Typically, it's like there's a break in what the person thinks they're gonna get and what they actually get, right? So there's like a mismatch in SEO and what the people are searching. So that's a different issue there. So if you do push ranking and you can't get the ranking for a specific keyword, then it might be something in the listing. So you might,
mhm.
it might not be the product that the people are looking for in terms of the main keyword, right? So in that case, you have to do market research. You have to understand what your competitors are doing to keep the keywords ranked for them for their listing. But to clarify a point you said is the ranking we're looking for is page one. Right? Anything that comes to page one initially is where we want to be. As you know, page one is where people get all the buying, right? They don't search on page two for buy stuff. Most people don't. I sometimes
Yeah, it's a graveyard.
I sometimes do, but most people don't, right? They look for page one stuff. So if you can end up on
Exactly.
page one for most of the keywords that you found for the niche, then you've done your work pretty much, right? That's the key. You want to make sure you rank on page one for the 50 or 30 to 50 keywords you found on your keyword research, right? Now, again, if there's a problem, then you might even need to pause them if they don't convert, if there's a conversion rate issue. It's typically a conversion rate issue that prevents it from ranking organically. Typically, that's what it is. Then again, you cannot know initially because you don't have reviews, right? You might need to pause PPC on those guys, wait until you get some reviews, and then test them again. You could do that, right? But if the organic ranking is not sticking, it means that you don't get enough sales velocity for it to gain organic ranking. So there's an issue here with either the perception of the product versus what the people are searching, right? So there's a gap here in terms of SEO and PPC, right? So that's an issue that's not easy to solve. But the best way to do it, if it's not converting, is to pause it. If you're in doubt, you got to pause it and then test it out later on. That's the way I would do it. If it doesn't convert, pause it because it's hurting the listing a lot, right? And like I said, once you do get a few reviews in, I would say like wait like 5-10 reviews and then test them again. You might be surprised they do well now, right? It could be a conversion because of reviews thing. but you won't know unless you pause them, because it's negatively affecting the conversion rate, and the BSR for sure gets affected by conversion rate. So
Mhm.
that's what I would approach it.
Exactly.
I would pause
Yeah.
and test later. That would be my advice. Yeah.
Yeah, we also sometimes like find some keywords which are most relevant keywords, but they are not best to be targeted in a specific certain situation. For example, if we are launching the product new, then we also like avoid the competitive and the most relevant keywords, and we like look for the keywords which are more intent wise, like they are more intended to buy. So
Long tail keywords, like the longer tail
e-
stuff. Yeah, yeah. The highly
exactly.
relevant ones, very highly relevant. Yep, yep,
Yes, exactly.
yep. No, yeah, I agree.
So, coming to the different types of campaigns, you mentioned that in the first phase of launch, we should focus more on the sponsored brand, given that the budget is like limited or we don't have a big budget.
Sponsored
And
products,
then,
sponsored products.
yeah, sorry, sponsored product. Yeah, exactly. And in the second phase, we should focus on sponsored product. Uh, and then sponsored displays, you mentioned that maybe it's a good a type when we have the product is now 1 year old,
No,
and maybe we tried all of the other types.
yeah, sponsored
Yeah.
display. We've seen success in like defensive campaigns using sponsored display. Like, where at the bottom of the buy box, it could show up there sometimes,
Hmm.
not always.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those usually do okay, but everywhere else, I don't. If you're limited on budget, I won't even touch them. To tell the truth, if
Mhm.
you're a smaller brand that's really, um, you know it is they are smaller businesses, are they're bottom of funnel businesses. They only rely on margin profit, right? Bigger businesses have
Exactly.
more budget to test different things, right? So if you're a
Mhm.
smaller brand, for sure, I would not advise to do anything with sponsored display, not initially. Not until you get some real cash flow into the business, some real ranking going on, and then you could test out that stuff, right?
Mhm. Great. Yeah. And what do you think about the video ads?
The what? Video? Sponsored brands video?
Yeah, sponsored brand. Yeah.
Sponsored brands video is very expensive now. Now it's not the same as before where it was cheap. It's very prime real estate, right? I like it
Mhm.
a lot, but
Yeah.
it's getting so expensive that sometimes it's not even worth it, to tell the truth. Especially for smaller brands. We
Mhm.
run them for like the bigger ones for sure, right? We like sponsored brands video exact match a lot. Those perform well
Mhm.
for certain specific products, right? In certain specific niches. Yes, it works well. Again, they're expensive. So a brand starting out, again, I would not advise using sponsored brands video right off the gate, because they are super expensive now.
Mhm.
Um,
Gotcha.
they are, yeah.
And yeah, what do you think about spotlight ads and the storefront ads?
Which one? Repeat that.
Storefront ads, like I think it's called spotlight ads.
You mean sponsored brands? I didn't get that. Highlight? Which one?
Spotlight. I think
Ah,
last time I
spotlight.
recall
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. I
spotlight.
like
Yeah.
those if you have like different, like, you need a good size catalog to run that to make sense, right? If you have
Mhm.
like 5, 10 products, I don't think it makes sense, because I like using it to showcase like bigger brands where they have a lot of different category of products that they sell. You could do that. The spotlight is good
Mhm.
for it's brand awareness stuff, right? Brand awareness, again, the metric you gotta gauge is traffic, right? How many clicks you get. It's not a it's not really a profit driven campaign. It's brand awareness stuff. So you need to have a good size catalog for it to make sense. Different types of products. Let's say you have like a sports brand, for example. If you have like outdoor products, you have stuff for the pool, you have stuff for camping. You could do a spotlight where you have camping gear, you have like swimming pool gear, stuff like that, or categories where they take you to a sub page of a bunch of products. Yeah, again,
Mhm.
brand awareness stuff. Nothing that's gonna make you a ton of money, that's for sure, right? It just makes
Mhm.
people aware of your brand and what you have. So yeah, I
Mhm.
wouldn't, for smaller brands, I would not advise it. I would stay away from that.
So, so you recommend that if anyone is selling some complementary goods which are complement to each other, then they should run spotlight ads.
Complementary, like I said, you would have, it doesn't have to be complementary. It has to be a
Mhm.
different segment of products. Right? It could be like, you know, the spotlight gives you groupings ability, right? You can group them in separate categories. They're not necessarily related to each other, but they're a separate group, right? Then again, that's what it means with having a bigger catalog, right?
Yeah.
Um, for cross selling, I would rather spend that money using sponsored products and then advertising those complementary products on product display pages. That's a better use of ad spend, right? Instead of running headline ads, for example, right? So yeah, it depends
Right,
on
right.
your budget, your size, and your objective, right? So, but primarily, it's you got to make money. That's what smaller businesses are in the business for, right? The bigger
Mhm.
ones have more cash to test different things. The smaller business don't, right? So you got to be very careful which ones you advertise, because there's a lot of way to lose money on the platform, as I'm sure you know. The platform like
Mhm.
makes you spend money. They don't care how much you're making. They care that you're getting
Exactly.
clicks and impressions. That's it. They don't care if you're not making any profits. So you got to be careful with that.
Exactly. Exactly. What do you think about the? I think I don't remember the exact name of that campaign, but what do people like? They assign a very minimal bid, and they add all of the keywords in that campaign, and put a higher budget to that campaign. I don't remember the name. I think low fruit hanging, something like that.
Like a catch-all
Uh,
campaign? Is that what you're saying? Like, is it
yeah,
a capture all
capture all.
campaign?
Yeah, capture all campaign where you put all of the keywords and set very low bid like 0.05 or something like
Oh,
that.
is it
And you
like a
set,
manual campaign, not an auto campaign? So you're saying keywords. You add keywords and
yeah,
very low bid.
exactly, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And they set the campaign budget very high, like $1,000, $5,000, like something like
But you
that.
put all the keywords, all the words, but one word, right? Like
Yeah,
break them up. I don't. Yeah, I saw that. I don't like that strategy because it's very. That's really old strategy. I don't know if it works anymore. We don't use it.
yeah,
I don't use it.
exactly. It's a very long order, so that's why I'll
Yeah.
fall with it.
I
Yeah.
forgot the name of it. Brian Johnson came up with it. Brian Johnson from
Hmm.
Canopy Management. He's one of
Yeah.
the first agencies doing PPC. He's the one who came up with that.
Hmm.
I forgot the name. Harvard. I forgot the name. Yeah, but it's basically
Low,
you take.
yeah, low hanging fruit, something, the name was
Yeah, but
something
it's
similar.
only, yeah. I don't like it too much because it's, nowadays it's all about relevancy and conversion.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get good conversion rate if you have like a one, let's say, shoe, right? I don't want to bid
Hmm.
on shoe because if you're selling like
Yeah.
a shoe for kids from 9 to 5 years old, shoe
Yeah.
is gonna be a long shot. It's gonna be very unprofitable for you if you bid on that. It's a very
Hmm.
unlikely thing that you're ever gonna convert on shoe for something that's specific. So I don't like the strategy anymore. Maybe it worked back then, but now I think it's not. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I won't.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would not. I would rather have like highly converting relevant words and spend my money towards that instead, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. So now we discussed the three phases of the launch. What do you recommend for scaling the brand? Like, let's suppose there is a brand who only launched their first product and it's been 7 or 6 months or 8 months, and what they should do to scale their brand and to increase their revenue.
So the product has been launched, is successful, right? So you're saying
Yeah.
that after 6 months, what do you do? So it comes down to systems now. So after you have a launch process, which is very manual, everything during a launch is manually done. You have to look at a person has to do that. Now, once you come to that 6, 7 month period that you're proving that the product, yeah. So
Uh,
once you do have a proven product, right? Now to scale the product, there's a lot of different things you want, but primarily you need systems and processes in place. The system that you want is basically I would categorize it in two ways. One would be to optimize whatever you have running. So you have to go in there and adjust the bids for things that are not working, negate all the usual stuff for maintaining an account. For scaling now, you have to have a good system for harvesting keywords that are working, right? So you have a bunch of campaigns at the beginning, they generate sales. So you need an actual system that takes whatever is working now and then testing them in all the match types, right? You got to test them in broad, phrase, and match, right? So this one, I would say that's probably the main thing that grows accounts the fastest because you already have data coming in and you know what's working. So now you got to take that and make sure you exploit all the possible keywords that come from those. So the way you do that, you harvest them and then you test them in all match types, right? And you also got to defend your turf, right? Because as you get reviews and sales, competitors are going to come after you, right? So to make sure that they don't steal your sales, you got to protect your listings. So all these things you got to do on a systematic way. It's something that's got to be done, yeah, like every couple of weeks you got to be launching campaigns. You got to launch campaigns. You got to test different things. So, and the number one thing to grow an account is to launch more products. That's it. You're gonna reach a point where you don't have anything else really. You could like test different ads, but you're gonna plateau at some point, right? And the life cycle of an Amazon product is probably like in 2 years or so, whatever, right? 2-3 years. If you don't launch, you're gonna start decaying, right? If you don't grow, you're gonna die slowly. So you gotta launch products, and that comes with systems. You gotta have systems to launch, systems to optimize, and systems to harvest new keywords that are working, and rinse and repeat. So that's what it comes down to: systems and processes.
and
Yep.
that's good. Mhm. So you recommend like when your product is somehow stable, like you cross the break even or you're in profitable position, like or maybe in other sense in times you it's been 8 or 6 months. Now first you should focus on creating system for the existing product so that it don't go out of the way, it don't miss the track. And secondly, you should focus on introducing more products in the same niche. Maybe it's variation or maybe it's
Exactly.
another
Well
product.
said. Yep. That's the key to success right
Yes.
there. If you can do that successfully, you're gonna do fine.
That's good. And do you still recommend launching
Launching what?
garlic press?
No, I can't hear
Garlic
you. Sorry, I
press.
didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, I'm asking that. Do you still recommend launching garlic
No,
press,
sorry, Abdul.
the garlic press product?
No, no,
Garlic
I'm
press.
sorry. I can't. I don't get the reflex.
Yeah, I'm just asking in funny way that would you still recommend to launch garlic press product? Do you
Type it
know
in the
about the
chat. Let me
garlic
see.
press?
Can you type in the chat? I don't get it. I'm sorry, Abdus.
Sure. That's okay.
Oh, garlic press.
Actually, it's a funny question.
No. Oh my God.
It's a
Actually, there's
very,
an
yeah,
interesting post
yeah,
about garlic press. I don't know. You know who Chad Rubin is?
uh, yeah. I think the Jungle Scout also created
No,
a case study
no.
around it.
Chad Rubin is like so he has a post.
Yeah, I know him. Yeah.
You know Zule. Zule is a big kitchen accessory thing. So he has a look it up. You're gonna be very
Yeah.
impressed with. They actually launched a garlic press, right? But it's so competitive that it took them.
Mm.
I think it's like a year, maybe 2 years to become profitable after they spent like $400,000
Oh,
to rank it, to get it ranked. But once
oh.
they do get it ranked,
Mm.
they started making massive amount of profit because it became organically ranked. So everybody would be on top of everything else. So then they would start making a lot of money. So to
Mm.
answer your question, yeah, you could launch it, but you need a lot of money. You need a lot of money to make it work, right? A
Yeah, not
lot
a
of money.
lot, a
So
lot of money.
I think he lost like the
A
Zule
lot,
brand. I
yeah.
think they lost $300,000 before they started making money. So it took them like a
Oh.
year and a half, I believe, before.
Mhm.
So they were pushing a lot of PPC and losing money because the goal was to rank it at all costs, which was super expensive. So yeah, for most people, no, don't launch garlic presses.
I was
That's the answer. If you have a lot of money, yeah, you can try it, and then maybe you succeed, you know. But no, I wouldn't launch it.
I was searching some case study on Google and I saw a website with the name the garlic
Uh-huh.
pressseller.com and it was a blog spot like they were
Yeah,
giving affiliate links.
yeah.
It was
Garlic
fun.
press is. I don't know if you know who Scott Volker is. Like back then, when I started in 20, I started on Amazon at that 2016. So there's a podcast I started listening to by Scott Volker. So he was the one talking about garlic presses back then. Like, like yeah. So yeah, that's an
Oh,
old one, man. But it's, I mean, the name of the game is organic ranking. If you can sustain the cost it takes to get there, then yeah, eventually you're gonna make money. You know, that's the way it works. You just gotta, yeah, you
exactly.
just gotta have a lot of money to push it hard, which most people don't. Right? Which most
So
people don't. You know, it's not worth it. It's not worth
exactly,
it. I mean,
exactly.
he did it to prove a point.
Yeah.
To prove a point that you can
Mhm. Exactly.
use money to make money. Pretty much, that's the point. You use a lot of money to make a lot of money. So
Exactly. Yeah. Most of the people are get inspired from a YouTube or TikTok video where the influencer is showing that I'm making one $10,000 in profit per month selling this product and this and this.
yeah, the
So
industry is flooded with
yeah,
like a lot of people are selling courses that tell you that it's easy to make money on Amazon. We both know that's not true. It's very hard to make money. It's very hard. It's very competitive, and you have to know your stuff. Otherwise, you're not gonna make it. It's a very steep learning curve for sure. It
exactly,
takes a lot of yeah, a lot of knowledge to do well. So it does, and you know,
exactly.
PPC is just one of them. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I will ask some more questions. It's related to SEO and relevant some more relevant questions. We have short time. I will not take too much of your time. I already took a lot of your time. So we talk about launch and PPC, or like launching through PPC. What do you think about the SEO of the product? When should we optimize? Like, what should be the frequency? Monthly, after each 2 months, or quarterly, or when you should we should do the optimizing the images, the text
Oh yeah, that's
content
a
or
very
the
good question.
backend?
I would say, you know, most brands don't even touch that stuff. I've worked with a lot of brands that don't even touch it, and I believe the power of anything in the future is just like tweaking things that are already working, right? So I would say at a
Yeah.
minimum every month you got to be testing something on the listing. The tools out there, they give you the Data Dive gives you a great platform where you could test different things, right? I love using it for the optimization of the title. If you want to move things around, see how it affects the ranking juice, and then all the relevant keywords, and also the bullet points for sure. So yeah, I would say at least once a month you got to be
Mhm.
testing something. You got to The main image is extremely important. I would say that's number one thing you should test, the main image,
Mhm.
because it increases click through rate and potentially conversion rate. So these two are like very vital right now. You're not investing any money in any ads. You're just using the traffic you already have to perform better. So to me, that's a win-win right there. So if you could only make a 1% improvement in any of those things, it's huge. It's massive, especially if you have a lot of traffic coming in. It's massive. That's what we're doing right now.
Mhm.
We're like tweaking
Yeah.
the main image for sure and the second image. So these two. So the first image would be for click-through rate, right? And the second image would be for conversion rate.
Mhm.
Very important. The second image is extremely important. And also the tab, the two bullet points. So the way we like to do it is the two bullet
Mhm.
points should convey the same message at the second image, right? So they can see the
Mhm.
benefits of the product on image and in text. That works great. So in terms of like conversion rate,
Mostly people, mhm. Mostly people add infographic image as a second image. Do you recommend infographic or
I would
any
say it
specific
depends
image
on
type?
what the way we do it. We like to use the reviews to tell us what's working. Okay, so once you know what's working,
Mhm.
use that data to convey that in the second image. It could be like a lifestyle image. It's fine. It depends what you see in terms of what's working, what people
Mhm.
are liking about the product, right? What are they using it for? What are the benefits of it for them? How is the product improving their lives? Pretty much, right? So if you could use the second image and convey that information, then it's gold right there. Whether you do it through text or infographics or a combination of both, doesn't matter. As long as you have that information on there. Okay, so I think that's vital for conversion rate.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's good. What do you think about the influencer videos on the product page? You may see I think, under the product information, I think above review somewhere, but there are influencer videos.
yeah,
So what do you think
videos.
about them? Does
If you
it
can get like
improve?
user generated videos, excellent. If you can get those, the more you get, the better for sure. Because people like life, like people actually using them and then uploading. Perfect. Those are awesome. Awesome. Yeah. The more you can do, the better for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah,
It gives you organic. It gives you like
yeah.
social proof. That's what it gives you, right? It shows that people are using it and liking it.
Mhm.
So the more, the better for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And what do you think about Amazon post? Because recently I also noticed in some categories that Amazon is showing the brand post on their product pages. Not, I didn't notice on all brands and in all categories, but in some specific ones. So what do you think
Amazon
about
what
Amazon
post?
post?
I don't
Yeah,
I don't
Amazon
know
post.
much
Yeah,
about
in the
posts.
storefront.
I would say it depends what you're selling, right? Um, I think if you sell like a product that you could like supplements, that something that influencers can push, then yeah, that might make sense, right? Where you have like maybe like TikTok
Mhm.
content that you post on there, then yeah. But not for all products. I don't think it matters for all products. For some, I would say it depends. What type of niche you're in. If it's like really like
Mhm.
something that's really social, like a product that people would like, that gives them social status, then yeah, that's the keyword. If it's like a social product that tells them like, oh, they're good, it gives them status, then yeah, that would work. But for products that are not sexy or people don't
Right.
care, like I have a lot of brands that, you know, nothing sexy there, so it doesn't matter those
Mhm.
posts. But for like,
Yeah.
like I said, if it's
Mhm.
um like status given, like something you buy and you're like, oh yeah, I'm a big person because I have it, I'm proud to show it off, then yeah, right, then yeah.
Mhm. We also noticed because we are also doing Amazon post for some brands. One of them
Yeah,
is supplement brand, and we see really good result for that because it also target the existing customer. There they can see our post and they
yeah,
can also follow the store, and we saw good engagement on them. But on the other side, in the car category, car accessory
yeah,
category,
exactly. So
so
it
we
depends,
didn't see
what
any
type
good
of yeah, the
positive.
niche is the determining factor. Should you use them or not? It doesn't have to be, you don't have to have them,
Yeah.
it depends. Yeah, supplements for sure, yeah, makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah. One last question. Does it still work to drive external traffic to your Amazon listing or storefront? Because Amazon has now a brand referral program where you can avail 10%
yeah,
referral
sure.
commission or
I
referral
would
revenue. So
say
what do you think about it?
I would say they would favor it. I mean, if you think about it, if the traffic comes from the outside, they have to reward you for it because it's traffic they didn't have before. So I would say yes, it helps. You know,
Yeah.
the proof is that there's a lot of viral TikTok videos or whatever, and people go on Amazon and buy tons of stuff. We've seen brands that like spike double sales in next day, and the sale bump lasts for like a whole month because of a viral video. External traffic brings a ton of that, right?
Mhm.
So they would love that for sure. So I would say, yeah, if you can do it, more power to you. Yeah, the more the better for sure, because the platform, they only care about making money. So if you can bring them external traffic, they would love you for sure. Why not, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the proof is that like they are also
Yeah.
giving you 10% commission. So it shows that how much
Oh yeah,
they value it, and obviously it also increases your
yeah.
organic
The way I
rank
like to think
and
of it, I think of
stability.
Amazon, they want to dominate the world. That's what I think of them. They want to control everything,
Hmm.
which means
Yeah, they
right
are
now I think they
aliens.
have like 60% of all the traffic, 60 or 70, whatever it is, pretty high, but they want all of
Yeah.
it. So the way they get all of it is
Mhm.
every store that has Shopify or whatever website that's not on Amazon, they want that traffic as well. So they would aggressively go after those people. So yeah, they want all the traffic for themselves, all of it,
Mhm.
100%.
Yeah.
So
But they don't
they like to
value
share
sellers,
anyway.
and they don't want them to.
They're a very greedy company,
Yeah.
that's for sure. Very greedy. But yeah, that's they. I think they have like 70%. They want 100%,
Exactly.
100% sure. They don't care. They want to share anything
Yeah.
with anyone. So
Exactly. Thank you so much,
of course,
Bernard, for coming to the show and sharing your insights. It was really helpful, and I hope everyone learned from Bernard. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this show. Keep connected, stay connected. I will share Bernard relevant links in the video description. Make sure to reach him out about his services. If uh, you are a match, then obviously he will entertain you. So once again, thank you so much,
of
Bernard,
course, my
for coming
pleasure.
to the
Thank you for
show.
having me.
Thank you. Have a nice night or day ahead.
Bye.
Bye bye.